Hello, I'm Andrew. As some of you may know, I like to go all out when I audition for roles. These days, with the self-tapes, actors have much more time to prepare and get themselves immersed in the world of the character. We can debate whether or not it's worthwhile, seeing as it takes longer, and there may be some advantage to putting your tape in first, but I think casting directors really do appreciate the extra work an actor would put into really involving himself into the world of the character. And part of that is costuming. I try to get accurate costumes as much as possible in preparation for these roles so I can really embody what the character is all about. And for this next audition tape I'm doing, I have a character that's kind of described as a hipster but on the older side, and he's involved in medicine or voodoo or something of the kind. And what that spoke to me was kind of witch doctor, maybe. I don't want to get too stereotypical in descriptions, but I settled on a Poncho kind of deal. Because, hippie kind of, you know what I mean. So I went to Hobby Lobby, I got this beautiful fabric. It has that possible Native American feel, more nondescript. And I'm going to make, well, as you can see, I've already made my poncho, but I'm going to show you how I made that poncho. I'm going to go back in reverse, basically. Not like the movie Memento. I mean, I'm going to go back to the beginning and show you what I've already done. I know I'm confusing. But anyway, here we go. Okay, I'm going to start this project as I normally do with a flat sketch. I'm going to have a triangular shaped poncho, so we'll draw the lower edge with the point directly in the center. Just about a right angle, not quite. And now when I draw the shoulders, I could go straight across, but that means when you put your arms down, all this is going to hang in waves, all that excess fabric. So I'm going to draw instead a slight angle for the shoulders, like so. This will be the back there. And I'm going to draw the opening. Nice deep V, cross-hatching to show the back from the front. And this is going to have a tab. And that's where we're going to put the grommets, so we can lace it across the front, all nice. Of course, we're going to have the fringe down the sides. And this is the front. Now the back is going to be the same shape, the same triangle, same shoulders. And for the back here, instead of an opening, we're going to have the excess fabric folded accordion style. Draw the folds like that. And then to secure it, I'll have a little strap with a buckle. And that's the back. There's our design. And now that I have cut my diagram, it's time to mark the fabric for cutting. Now I'm limited in the size that I can make because I bought the end of a bolt and there wasn't that much fabric left. I've got about 2.5 yards here. And since the right and the left are mirror images of each other and the front and the back are also mirror images of each other, to find out how much space I had to work with, I simply folded my fabric in half twice. So when I cut a triangle out of here, the right and the left will match, and the front and the back will match. Okay, now I've written out my measurements here, and I just measured against my own body, decided about how long I wanted the sleeve or the shoulder to be. I've decided about 26 inches, so I'll put one end of the tape right at the top corner, and then I'll rotate it down until the edge hits 26 inches. And I double check my angle, I like that. Then I'm going to take my pins and I'm going to mark all the way down with the pins along the tape. This will indicate where I have to cut. Okay, and then I decided that I wanted it to be about 35 inches from top to bottom. So I'm going to measure along the folded edge here. Front and back are both folded on this edge, making sure I have the right side, because I don't want to make that mistake. And then I will mark the bottom of my point with a pin. Okay. And to get the remaining side, it's simply a matter of going from that pin to the one I put at the other corner, and that comes out to be about 32 inches. It's good to double check because I have a certain amount of trim that I can use. I can make each side up to 36 inches long, so I am well within that. I will pin all the way down the side here. And I'll step back and have a look to make sure it's about what I want it to be. And now I can cut. Now I always err on the side of bigger is better, so I will cut on the outside of the pins. About 1/4 of an inch or so. Making sure that my fabric is completely flat to start with. I already ironed and straightened before I started measuring here, so I'm just going to follow my pins. Okay. I can save the extra for the little pieces I have to do to finish up. Last thing, I measured my neck width. That came to be about 6 inches for an opening, so that's 3 inches on each side. So I'm going to measure across the corner 3. Cut that out real quick. All right. And that's the basic shape of it. See, just quick look at it before I cut the opening edges in the front and the back for the neck hole. Mirror images. Okay, it's going to fit like so. A nice size. That'll do. That'll do. Now I'm going to do the front and the back separate. Now I'm just going to mark the depth of my opening. I think I decided 16 inches is how I wanted it. I'm going to measure from there to the edge. Couple of pins in it to remind me. This is going to be the back, so I'm going to save this as a template. And this is the back piece. This is where it's going to spread out. About a foot. We go from 6 inches to 1 foot. Do the front the same way. Okay. Now it should look just about the same as the back. I cut out with the same. Now I'm going to make the tab for the front. To do that, I'm going to take the piece that I cut out and I'm going to lay it upside down for contrast to make the pattern match up. And then I want it about 2 inches wide, so I'm going to cut 2.5. I'll just measure with my hard ruler here. square it off at the bottom. Okay. Then it's simply a matter of follow along on the lines. Now I'm going to reinforce this by adding a piece of interfacing to the back before I attach it to my garment. Now this here we're going to do is the accordion fold for the back piece. So I placed it upside down on the fabric so I can see it better. I put it in between the patterns. Now I'm going to measure the top edge to make sure it's as wide as I want it to be. 15-ish inches, 14 and a half, that's good. So I'll go down to the point here and make sure that the length, the new length, is going to match the cut length. Rotate it out the corner. I'll make a cut right there, show where I'm going to start cutting. Make sure I have my seam allowance there. Okay. Same for the other side. And now I'm just going to cut a gentle curve. Connect both cuts. So this upper edge will collapse when I fold it accordion style. My tape back as a guide. I'm going to make sure that I leave my 1/2-inch seam allowance on either side. So I'm going to cut it a little bit long. Are. I should fold up accordion style. I'll have the strap board across to hold it. Excellent. Now I'm going to show you how I put the tab on the front. As you can see, I interfaced the other side. Then I pressed about 3/8 on the outside edge. I made sure to square off my corners in the front. I stitched along the inside corner here to reinforce it. So I'm going to lay it upside down. I'm going to put the right side of the tab to the wrong side of the fabric. And I'm going to sew very close to the edge. Then I'm going to just turn this to the outside after it's attached. So I'll have a nice clean edge. Okay, I've attached my collar. I'm just going to trim it a bit more before I turn it. Now I'm just going to press it with the iron to get it to lay flat. Once I get that pretty flat, I can pin it down to secure it, and then I can sew along the outer edges here and on the inside edge here. Keep the tab from rolling back in. Now you can see the beautiful edge I did on my opening at the front here. And I've marked with pins where I want the openings for the laces to go. I was originally going to do grommets, but I decided I wanted a more rustic look, so I decided I'm going to use buttonholes instead. So I got about 5 on each side, about 2.5 inches apart. I'm just going to use my buttonhole attachment to make buttonholes at each of these pins, and then we can lace it up. Okay, once I got the front done and the back ready, I put them both together, right sides together, and I sew along the edge just with a basting stitch so I can put it on and check the fit. And that looked good, so now I'm going to take it over to my serger, and that's going to close up these raw edges here. This here is my serger. When I run the edges through here, all 3 of these threads are going to encase the raw edge in thread so that it doesn't unravel on me. Now that I have all my edges bound and secured, it's time to finish by doing the hem. I'm going to do a fringed hem. I'm going to start in the back corner, and I'm going to put the trim facing inward. So I'm going to sew it onto the raw edge all the way up, and then when that's attached, I'm going to turn the hem in and then stitch on the outside. And that way there will only be one set of stitches visible from the outside. And here is the finished design on my model here. This is about 90% of the way closed. You can see how the sleeves drape beautifully. Get that nice angle here when your arms are extended. Not too much extra fabric here. You got the tassels all the way around. I open the neck a bit. You can air it out. Give yourself as much breathing room as you want. Maybe make her a little more conservative again. There we go. I still have to work on the buttonholes, that's why it's not laced in the front, but there's a buttonhole every couple of inches so you can lace it across. Close it up if it's really cold like that. Now let me show you the back. See, this is my expanding accordion file here. It goes like this. Just slide that out. See how beautifully it turned out in the back too. Now I didn't show you here how I made the back section. Truthfully, I was afraid I was going to get frustrated and I didn't want to film that, but what I did is I made some straps. I decided on 2. Originally I was going to do 1 if you recall. And I have a slide buckle over here. You just put it on a little tab. I put it on the openings, and then I took my triangular piece of fabric. Well, first I did a stay stitch on the corner here so it wouldn't tear. Then I put one edge of the triangle here. I sewed all the way down there. Then I cut to the edge of the stay stitching so I would have some more play. And I flipped it to the other side and I sewed it like so, and I ended up with a nice triangle. I was really surprised. I didn't expect it to come out that way. I'm very pleased with it. See all my finished work on the inside. That's what it comes out to look like. I folded all this extra fabric down so it's a nice self-facing. I wasn't sure how much of that I was going to need. Turns out you have the strap undone. It's a straight edge all the way across from shoulder to shoulder. But I'm happy with it. I'd make some minor changes if I made it again. But I think that the expanding accordion slide in the back was an excellent idea.